So I was privy to an interesting phenomenon this week. Not one, not two, but 3 different people from different friend groups were all asking about going to see a movie in a theater. That movie was Dune Part 2. And all of a sudden, people are interested in going to see a movie on the big screen. Because it's likely going to be good. Based on Dune Part 1 and the trailer for Part 2 and a whole whack of people online who are already saying it's good. And I wanted to talk a bit about it because I still see people saying how the theater business is dying and men won't go and watch movies starring women and how global events have ruined the entertainment industry. And none of that applies to me and my friends. And that's like 3 different friend groups of very different people. And it got me thinking about theaters and all the previous films I'd wanted to see in the cinema, and how as movie quality declined, so did my interest in going to the cinema. There's a lot of talk about who's going to the cinema and for what movies, and I've only briefly looked into it because I decided to ask how that is measured, and already after a cursory glance, I smell bad statistics. This video is not about that. I will eventually get into that. Another day, another topic. I love action movies, superhero movies, thrillers, sci-fi, dark crime stories, especially starring men and women. I like both. And the whole aesthetic around Madame Web, the look and tone of that film as it was advertised, was exactly what I would have wanted. If the film was good, if it had decent story, likable characters, entertaining action, similar morality, personal connection, these are the things that I assess when I'm trying to decide if a movie is good enough to go see in the theater. If it had things like hot, intelligent, capable female superheroes becoming heroes by going up against some threatening, impressive, seemingly unbeatable villain, I would have been into it. Instead, we got what is now known as Madame Web, which has none of those things. Didn't sound like it was worth leaving my house for. I can get an impression from the preview, and I can see what the cast and crew are saying, although I never really pay attention to that, and I can see what others are saying about it online. I'm not paying money to go sit in an uncomfortable chair with a bunch of strangers unless I think it's worth it. Although in Madame Web's case, a bunch of strangers might be pushing it. It's got to be worth my time, money, and in Madame Web's case again, sanity. It takes more than hope that a movie will be good to get me in the theater. I need evidence now. Jurassic World broke me. I showed up to the theater with hope. I wanted a Jurassic Park movie because Jurassic Park was one of my favorite films since I was like 4 years old. And that is not what I got. I showed up for a masterpiece and I got trash. Trust lost. It's nothing like Jurassic Park. Sorry, spoilers. And I think that's why most people aren't showing up to theaters. They know. There's a good chance it's a waste of their time and money. At least at home you can turn it off when it passes the point of no return. You can take breaks when the incompetent filmmaking gives you a headache. Speaking of Disney remakes, the modern remake of Aladdin, I think, was the worst theater experience I've ever had. That also broke me. Trust shattered. It takes so much to get me in the theater now. I will be doing reviews of the modern Disney remakes on this channel. Just a heads up. Most modern movies are not good enough to justify the cost of time, money, and sanity in most people's lives. It has a detrimental effect on people's thoughts and emotions to sit through something they don't like, especially when they might be paying several hours' wages when you include snacks. How expensive is it for a family to take out all their kids and get them a snack? Even if you're already insane enough to get entertainment from bad movies, which also applies to me with the right people, I'm not paying theater prices for that. And the last time I checked, they don't allow alcohol at our local theater. I'm not doing it without a drink in my hand. The theater is for movies I genuinely think will be good and are worth seeing on the big screen, based on whatever evidence I can get my hands on. Argyle, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, the Jurassic World films, the Disney remakes, Rebel Moon. I wanted all of those movies to be good. But even the ones I haven't seen, I've seen enough to want to watch them at home. A few of them over the past 10 years got me into theaters. One of them was even good. No, it wasn't Dead Reckoning. I will explain my issues with that film another time. But that is not a good track record, and I will not show up to theaters for trash I'd rather watch with certain people with certain drinks in my hands. Big budget movies aren't good enough anymore. They haven't been for a while, and this is the result. Over a decade of the world's most expensive audio-visual entertainment slowly going downhill lands you here. No one is buying it anymore. No one trusts these companies. Maybe 1 or 2 movies per year make me think about going to the theater, and I still won't go until I hear someone's opinion I trust saying it's good. I might not agree with them on anything else or even what I think makes a good film, but if we share general taste and standards for movies, I'll take that recommendation. Only a couple of movies per year will make me want to go to the theater, and they're usually action or sci-fi or something that is different on a giant screen. I've got to have a reason to go to the cinema. So I'm going to see Dune Part 2. A bunch of my friends have already seen it or are going to see it, and that's because Dune Part 1 was good, and the trailer for Dune Part 2 looks good. I've also heard from people online that it's good. That's what I need to hear. That's the only thing that will get me in theaters. God, I hope it's good. And I don't know how many people have to keep talking about why the American film industry is floundering for industry professionals and writers and journalists to take notice, but it's because 99% of what they're making is crap. And it doesn't make it any better that so much of it is crap starring women. I don't feel represented by those female characters. All right, I've got a movie to catch. First one I've seen in a theater in over a year. Wish me luck. Bye, guys.